everyone, and welcome to another episode of On Par with Parish. I am your host, Parish Hodges, and today I have a very special guest, author of the upcoming YA novel, Beasts of Prey. Please welcome Ayana Gray.
Hi,
how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good myself. So it's very rare that I get to talk to another person from Arkansas, but I think you're maybe like the second or third person that I talk to. I'm also from Arkansas, but I live in Tennessee now. So yeah.
What part of Arkansas?
I'm from Forest City.
Oh yeah, you're a little south of me, I think.
What part are you from?
I'm in Little Rock.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's been so long since I've been to Little Rock.
It's a fun city.
Yeah, I've heard. It's really grown since I've left Arkansas. So, Beasts of Prey is set to be one of the biggest YA releases this fall. So tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So Beasts of Prey, and I've got it here, my little advanced copy. Beasts of Prey is a young adult fantasy novel, and it follows two Black teenagers named Kofi and Ekon, who come from very different worlds but have to form kind of a tentative alliance to venture into a magical jungle and hunt down a monster that has been terrorizing their city for close to a century. So I like to tell people it's a story full of monsters. You're going to get, of course, mythology, and then, of course, lots of magic too.
I like magical things. So, of course, I was so excited to get a copy. So what made you go with the fantasy sci-fi genre?
Oh, well, I think you write what you read a lot of the time. And growing up, I was a big fan of fantasy. I think because of the ability to escape when you're reading fantasy, it just feels like another world. And I just enjoyed the magical aspects of it. So when it came time to write, it was naturally what I leaned to anyway.
For the longest time, I would see YA talking about books or television shows. I didn't know what it meant, but now I know it means young adult, right?
Yeah.
And even though this is a young adult novel, every age can enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Good. So
go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. You can go.
I get that question a lot. Adults are like, well, is it just for kids? And I always tell people it's kind of like a PG-13 movie. So, people who are older can certainly enjoy a PG-13 movie and can enjoy this book. I don't think there's any cursing. There's not any kind of like explicit sex. I mean, it's something that truly like a young 12 and up teenager could read, and even a younger reader who was an ambitious reader could read it. And it works for, a big age group.
Well, that's really good, because I know there's probably some adult people who are like, I want to read it, but is it going to be too kiddie for me? So I'm glad you said it's for all ages. Yeah. Now, this is your first novel. How long did it take you to write it?
It took me, I guess, technically 6 years. I started writing it right after I graduated from college in May 2015. And I wrote for 4 years. And then I signed with my literary agent, Pete Knapp, in summer 2019. So that was like almost exactly 4 years. Then he and I edited together for another year. Then we took it out to publishers. And then I found my wonderful editor, Stacey Barney at Penguin Random House. And we edited more, and I turned in the final version earlier this year. So from 2015 to early 2021.
Now, how hard was it for you to find an agent?
I think with querying, which is when you send out, if for those who don't know, when you're going the traditional publication route, what you do is you write a story, and then you write what's a query letter, kind of like a cover letter. And you send that to literary agents who represent your type of work. So if you write horror, you would send it to a literary agent who represents horror. In my case, Pete Knapp, my agent, represents children's literature, and he had said he was looking for fantasy and magical stories. I found him through DV Pitt, which is an online on Twitter. It's a pitching contest thing that you do where you pitch your book out in a tweet. And if agents like it, that's them saying, hey, please send this to me. And that's what happened is I pitched my book out on Twitter. Pete liked the tweet, and that was kind of him saying, send it to me. And I did. And a few months, because it does take some time, they get thousands of emails each week. So I think I sent it to him in May 2019, and he offered representation in July 2019. So I know people who found literary agents in a week, and I have a friend who it took her 2 years, and now her book comes out later this year too. So it can vary. I was in the middle.
Oh, wow. But it's great that you found one, because this book is just so highly anticipated. Now, do you feel any kind of pressure?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. I think debuting, no matter what, it's your first book. It's the first time you're putting yourself out there. Like, a piece of me is in this story, and people are judging it, and people are going to have feelings about it. And there's a lot of pressure, but I'm really lucky because my publisher, so there's Penguin Random House, and then there's the Penguin and the Random House sides. I'm on the Penguin side. And I get to work with some really, really nice, really cool people who have had my back throughout the whole process. And that's made it a lot better.
And you studied African American history at the University of Arkansas. And you said some of your experiences are, in the book. So I guess, I know you can't tell much, but what experience can you tell us about in the book?
Yeah. So in college, I have 2 degrees. One of them is in political science. One of them is African and African American studies. And so for the African and African American studies piece, we actually traveled abroad to Ghana, which is a smaller country in Western Africa. It was a major port for the transatlantic slave trade. It was also a place where a lot of decolonization efforts started. So I was there, I spent a month there traveling all over the country, and we were studying that. We were, tracing the slave trade route from the tip of the Sahara all the way to the coast, and seeing the slave castles where slaves were kept. And we were also studying these people like Kwame Nkrumah, who led decolonization efforts and started to say, why are we allowing these European powers to come in and rule us when we can rule ourselves? And so while I was there, I saw so much beautiful landscape. Ghana's a small country, but there's deserts, there are forests, there are jungles, there's beaches, there's thriving cities, there's really small villages, and it just felt so magical. And I had never seen a fantasy book that took place in a world like that. So that's really stuck with me and really kind of got me thinking when it came time to write Beasts of Prey.
Oh, wow. So Bakosa was inspired by Ghana.
Somewhat. There's pieces of all over the African continent in this book, but as far as what I was picturing, a lot of it was from Ghana.
That's amazing. Oh my God. One thing I do like about this book is that you go into great detail about what the characters look like. Even if I didn't know they were Black, just by reading it, I could be like, oh, I can tell this person is Black, because you talk about the hairstyles, the face shape, the melanin. And I love that because it gives me the most clear, perfect picture of what they look like.
Yeah. I'm so glad you liked it. You see my face, I'm a brown girl. And growing up, I didn't see many girls like us, in books, and I especially didn't see them at the front, at the center. When I did see Black people, sometimes they were lighter skinned, or they had these features that made them quote unquote prettier. And I really wanted to push back against that. So these are characters who have all colored, different shades of brown, but everybody's Black. Yeah. Nobody has straight hair. Everybody's got texture in their hair. There are braids, there are twists, there are bantu knots, full lips, wide noses, dark eyes, things that, like I said, I never saw people saying these things are beautiful growing up. So I hope that when kids read it, they see themselves and say, hey, I'm beautiful like this.
Even now, there's still not a lot of representation for the darker toned people. It's always mixed or light skin with loose curly hair. I would like to see, even though I have straight hair now, I would like to see, someone with 4B, 4C, kinky hair, dark skin. I would love to see that. And as old as I am, there has not been much representation for that.
No.
There has not been.
No, there are some really fabulous authors who are, I'm not alone in this. There are other authors who are pushing back, and my hope is we're building a canon so that when some young Black boy, Black girl, or even somebody who's not Black, when they walk into a library and they're looking for fantasy, they don't just have my book, they don't just have one of my friends' books, but they have a whole shelf of books with Black people getting to do cool, magical things, and they have options. So you just have to keep contributing, keep building that.
Yeah, and just to add on, there's not many fantasy novels or movies or shows that feature, Black people as main characters. Like, I love Harry Potter, but the few Black characters that were there were like background characters, or like in the TV show The Vampire Diaries. Yeah, we had Bonnie Bennett, but she should have been more.
She wasn't the main focus, to be honest.
Yeah.
She was part of the show and the books, but she wasn't the main focus, and you could tell.
Yeah, and she was just so powerful. Like, she was one of the most powerful witches. But so do you think Beasts of Prey could be the start to changing that, to maybe having more Black people at the forefront?
Oh, I want it to be one of the things that gets the movement. There's already a movement going. I think about authors like Danielle Clayton, who wrote The Bells, Namina Forna, who wrote The Gilded Ones, that came out earlier this year. There have been Black authors, and even before Danielle, like before that, N.K. Jemisin, who's like a hero. She's, amazing fantasy author. There have been Black authors who have been writing, telling these stories. They just haven't been getting their due. They haven't been getting the attention that they deserve. So, if I can add to that, and again, I want authors to come behind me in next year and the year after that and keep writing these stories. So I want Beasts of Prey to be one in many.
Yeah. Now, out of all the characters in the book, which one do you relate to the most?
Ooh, I think now, because you get older, you change as you grow up. I think that now I relate most to Ekon, because Ekon he's the main male character in the story. But he's this bookish guy who likes things to be organized and gets really flustered when things aren't organized. He's got a lot of inner demons and gets caught up in his head. And I relate to that because I do get caught up in my own head and my own thoughts. And I also like things to be really organized. And I also love books, if you can't tell. But as a little kid, I think I was a lot like Adia. I did whatever I wanted without apology. Was kind of like, I was a lot as a little kid, and didn't always know where to put all that energy and that attitude and that like strength that I had as a kid. Mm-hmm. And I remember feeling like something's wrong with me. I don't fit in with everybody else. It's a me problem, when actually, it wasn't that anything was wrong with me. I was just a strong little Black girl. Yeah. So, I think I've mellowed out as I've gotten older and learned where to put that energy into a good place. So yeah, Adia and Ekon is to answer your question.
Ekon also reminds me of my older sister. Like you said, he likes everything to be organized and he gets in his head a lot. That's her. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to show, and that's something else. My little brother isn't quite as bookish as Ekon, but growing up, he was this very sweet, gentle boy. And I remember when he went to school and how some teachers looked at him and expected him to be a certain way and expected him to be trouble. And he was just this very gentle little Black boy. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to write a story of a Black boy who was like my brother, because there are many, many Black boys out there who are not these like hyper masculine, tough, like always in trouble kind of guys, but the world doesn't want to see them that way. And so I wanted to push against that too.
And that's very sad. You should just see a child as a child, whether they're a Black child, a brown child, a white child, A child is just a child. Don't think
Oh,
they're going to be a certain way just because of the way they look.
exactly.
I cannot believe this still happens, but
Still
it does.
still happens, and we just, every time we see it, we just have to call it out and say, why are you putting that stereotype on a child? Why are you expecting these things from a child? And that's, you have to find your way, like your way to have activism, and mine is through writing, writing about the things I want to see differently in the world.
So I saw on your Instagram, a lot of people had been asking you to do fan casting, and you picked Letitia Wright as Kofi and John Boyega as Tayo. So could you see this becoming a movie or a TV series?
Ooh, I would love that. I think it's certainly got kind of all the right elements, a bit of adventure, there's a little romance. I tried to put some jokes in there. There's a Yo Mama joke in there. So I think it's got all the right pieces, but I'm an author first. And whatever happens, but you never know. It'd be really cool if it did happen.
Yeah. Now this is a trilogy. So when are the second and third book coming out?
So I've actually written the first draft of book 2 already, and it's with my editor. What a lot of people don't know is that, I know that there's this, like, I wish my favorite author would write faster. I promise they're probably writing as fast as they can, but it takes so much time from writing the book to getting it to the design team and doing the cover, and then somebody has to edit it multiple times and then get it out, and it takes forever. So book 2 is supposed to come out mid next year, and the third book, so 2022, and then the third book would come out in 2023 if everything goes according to schedule.
Now the cover of the book, it's very magical. I feel like it really draws people in. So was it hard for you to pick a cover for it?
It wasn't hard. I got really lucky. Teresa Evangelista is the person who designed the cover, and she was really, really open. We had not every author gets to do this, but I was really fortunate that I had a really cool dialogue with her and my literary agent as well, where she gave us ideas. She showed us different artists, different styles. She asked what was important to me, and I shared it, and we just went back and forth, and she showed me some drafts, and I said, this is cool, but what about this? And we just went back and forth until we got to this. And I'm really excited about it because it's the thing I think that people have gotten most excited about. It's just how pretty it is.
Just looking at the cover, you're like, okay, I want to read this. It's an awesome cover.
Thank you.
So, where can people purchase your book?
So people can purchase Beasts to Prey at this point anywhere books are sold. It comes out September 28th. There's a cool pre-order campaign happening where and when I say anywhere, I mean Walmart, Target, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your indie bookstore, anywhere. If you're an international reader by chance and you want a signed and personalized copy, there's an organization called Good Choice Reading, GC Reading. And I'm going to be doing signed and personalized copies, and those will ship internationally if you are not in the US. You can visit www.ayanagray.com, and it has all the links to get to everything. But if you pre-order it before September 28th and submit your receipt, which is also on my website, there's a link to do it, you will get character cards. So these are really pretty pictures of the 4 big characters in the story. And one person is going to get this really cool prize pack, which is like a backpack, this really pretty journal that's meant to look like the journal from Beasts of Prey, this really cool snake necklace that wraps around your neck. Lots of cool stuff. So pre-order if you can. And yeah, that helps a lot as a new author.
That sounds amazing. So besides your website, if people want to keep up with you, where can they find you?
So I am on Twitter at Ayana Gray, AYANA GRAY. I'm also on Instagram. So it's at Ayana Gray with a little underscore after Gray, because there was another Ayana Gray. And I'm hesitantly on TikTok. I'm learning. But I'm technically on TikTok too, at Ayana Gray.
Oh, TikTok. I have one, but I don't use it. So
I'm trying because this is a young adult book, and I
young
feel
adults
like
are on TikTok.
It's tough. It's not my natural platform. I prefer Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm a millennial, so.
Okay. What year were you born?
93, so I'm 28 years old.
Oh my God, you're so young.
It depends on who you ask, because I've got friends whose kids are going to college, and I'm like, wow, they're 10 years younger than me.
Oh
So, but those are Gen Zs. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a millennial.
Yeah, I'm a millennial too, but I'm a little bit older than you. I'm in my 30s, so
It's coming up. I'm ready to be 30. I think I've earned it.
it's good.
I think there are pros and cons, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm the happiest I've ever been with myself. I think about like when I was 20 and how insecure I was, and I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, and now I'm like, I feel good about myself. So I'm ready. I'm happy with my age.
Well, good for you. I want to thank you so much for doing this interview with me. It was great.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Oh, you're very welcome. Always. And don't forget Beast of Prey, September 28th. But go ahead and pre-order it. You may get a prize.
Pre-order it. You will definitely get character cards, and you might get a prize. It super helps debut authors.